right, hi algebra class. I know that you can hear me, so this I don't have the video on today because I'm using a different sort of computer, but I want to go over using elimination when you're using multiplication. We talked about this before Christmas break, but this is the teaching part of it for those of you that are in distance learning or if you just want to learn a little bit more about it. So on your vocabulary sheet, you have what you already know about elimination. So there's a few things that you already do know about elimination, and I want you to think about what the word eliminate means. So write a few words about what you already know about elimination in algebra. And then I want you to jot down what is it that you like to learn when using elimination using multiplication. And I don't want you just to put how to do it. Okay, well, specifically, what do you want to know? Like, do you want to know how to determine what to use, what steps are involved after you decide what to use, those sorts of things. So take a few minutes to think about what you really want to know about using multiplication and elimination. So then the last thing is what you're going to learn. So in the what you're learning, or what you learned part, this is the example that you're going to use. So what you see on the screen now, I want you to write this equation, 10x plus 5y equals 30, and 5x minus 3y equals negative 7. I want you to write that in the box because you're going to write the steps down and the things that you did to determine what you had to do. So go ahead and pause the video, take a few minutes to fill out your KWL chart because yes, you are getting a grade for this after you take your assessment. And then I want you to restart the video. So now we're going to start with what are some questions you need to ask yourself. So one question you need to ask yourself, you're going to go way back to 5th grade with least common multiple. So I want you to look at both equations and I want you to think about, is there something that both of them have in common? And not that they both have x's, that they both have y's, they both have numbers, not that. I really want you to, hopefully you have focused on, you've noticed that you know that 5 can go into 10. So that's what I want you to focus on whenever you're looking at both equations. Look at both the x's and look at both the y's and see if they can be multiplied by something to get the other. In this case, hopefully you've determined that 5 times 2 is 10. So we know that we have to multiply the second equation by something to eliminate the 10x. And naturally, you'll do that the more you practice this. So let's take a look at step number 1. So that's what they determined. They knew that if you multiplied 5 times 2, you would get 10. But I want you to notice that we want to be able to eliminate. So if you just multiply 5 times 2, you're going to get a positive 10. So in this case, I hope you notice that they multiplied the second equation by a negative 2 because down here, you'll notice it's a negative 10x, and then up here is the positive 10x, and you can eliminate the x. So I want you to also notice that they're multiplying everything by negative 2. So they've put 5x minus 3 in parentheses, and then they've distributed it. So negative 2 times 5x is negative 10, minus negative 2 times 3y. A negative and a negative is a positive 6y. And a negative 2 times 7 is a positive 14. So here's the new equation that you're going to use in your elimination of the top one. So take a few minutes, pause the video to write these steps down so that you understand when you multiply, you have to multiply it by everything. That's the most important thing. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at step 2 to see how the rest of the elimination work. They took the original equation, 10x plus 5y equals 30, the new equation, negative 10x plus 6y equals 14. They've eliminated the x's like we did in our other examples before Christmas. So you're left with the y's. 11y equals 44, positive 5, positive 6 is 11, positive 30, positive 14 is 44. And then you want to isolate the y, so divide by 11. You know that y equals 4. Take a few minutes to put this step into your what you learn notes. And then finally in step 3, you're going to substitute the 4 that you got for y into one of the original equations. They pick the first equation. You can also pick this equation too if you want to. You can also pick this equation too, but it has to be the original equation. But they chose the original 10x plus 5y. So let's take a look at the process involved there. So you're just going to substitute 4 for y. So 10x plus 5 times 4. 10x plus 20 equals 30. Subtract 20 from both sides. 10x equals 10. Then divide both sides by 10. And your x equals 1. And then, so your solution set is 1. And your solution and your other answer y is 4. And that's your solution set. If you want to check it, you would just substitute 1 in where the x is in 10 and 4, keep the 4 where it is. And of course, 10 times 1 is 10 and 10 plus 20 is 30. So you know that it's correct. You can always go back and check it. Okay, now the second part of this is multiplying both equations to eliminate a variable is when there isn't something that you can multiply to get the other one. So I want you to pay attention to, this is where you have to use some decision-making skills. If you look at this equation, you can't multiply 2 times anything to get 3, and you can't multiply 3 times anything to get 4. So you're going to have to multiply both equations to get something. And then you have to decide, do you want to eliminate the x's or do you want to eliminate the y's? Now, process of elimination would tell you that you want to eliminate the x's because there is a negative associated with the second x, with the bottom x. So naturally, a negative number, you won't have to multiply by a negative number. So we won't have any double negatives. So I want you guys to pay close attention to how they do step 1 when you multiply both sides. All right, so your original equation at the top is 3x plus 4y equals negative 22. That's the original equation. You're going to multiply the top equation by whatever it is you decided to eliminate or use to eliminate. In this case, they chose the negative 2 on the x. So they took whatever coefficient was with that x, and they're going to multiply the top equation by that. So notice that they're multiplying 2 times 3x, 2 times 4y, and 2 times negative 22 to get a new equation. And you're going to have to do the same thing to the top. So they use distributive property. So the new equation for the bottom is 6x plus 8y equals negative 44. Now that is just step 1. Step 2, you still can't eliminate, or not step 2. The other part of this is your other equation. So let's focus on this side now. Now I want you to notice on this equation, they took the constant with this x, the 3, and they multiplied that equation by 3. So really all you're doing is looking at coefficients. So whatever you do on the bottom, you're taking that coefficient to multiply times the top. Whatever coefficient's at the top, you're taking it to multiply on the bottom. Hopefully, if you're having trouble figuring this out, I want you to pause the video and really look at why they're doing stuff. So take 3 times negative 2, 3 times 3y, and 3 times negative 8. And then here's your new equation. Negative 6x plus 9y equals 24. These are the 2 new equations that you're working with. And hopefully you notice that your x's are going to eliminate each other. So let's take a look at step 2 now. All right, I'm going to erase some of the stuff. So the 2 new equations that you got because you multiplied numbers on the top and numbers on the bottom so that you could eliminate. Your 2 new equations are your sixes, they eliminated. Positive 8, positive 9 is 17. Negative 44, negative 24 to negative 68. Divide by 17. Y equals negative 4. You've just solved for Y. Make sure you pause the video, rewind it, listen to it again if you're having trouble, and then work through the task cards for extra practice. Okay, this is the last piece for solving systems of equations. So now we're going to talk about actual real life situations. So this is comic books example. So what I want you guys to pay attention to in this example is dollars and books. So what you want to match up the dollars and the dollars, and you want to match up the books and the books, because those are two different things that you're talking about. So your first equation is really going to be the books, and your second equation is going to be the dollars for each of them. So whenever you decide what your systems of equation is, they've designated that C is the single issue for comics and P is the paperback issue of the comics. So C is like X and P is like Y. So if you add single comics together and if you add paperback comics together, there's a total of 100 books. So here's your first equation right here. Then your second equation is dollar amount. So your single copy issues are $4 a comic, and your paperback collection is $12 a comic. So $4 times C or X and $12 times P or Y equals $616. So knowing that these are your two equations, then you can use elimination to solve. And of course they use C and P, but this is just like X and Y. So in order to eliminate, just pay attention, you need to, they're eliminating the C's. So they're going to multiply the top, the C plus the P times 4, negative 4, so that they can eliminate the 4C. Here's your new equation, and you're going to plug the new equation with this equation to solve. So let's see how that works. Okay, I'll get rid of this line for you. So 4C plus 12P, remember that's your original equation, which is your $4 times the C and $12 times the P equals $616. Here's your new equation. They've eliminated the C, so they're solving for P, or they're solving for Y, whatever variables you want to use. Negative 4, positive 12 is positive 8. Negative 400, positive 616 is 216. Divide by 8 both sides. So you know that your paperback copies, you had 27 of those copies. And then you just plug in the 27 into your original equation, something plus 27 equals 100, to get your answer for the number of hardback comic books. So let's try to get rid of some of these X's so that you can see how they did this. So notice that they substituted 27 in for the P. They subtracted 27 from both sides. Of course, you can do some of this in your head. So you know that the the hard copies of your comic books, or the X variable, was 73 copies. 73 plus 27 is in fact 100. That's how you use this in real world solutions. You try to dissect like things together. So if you're adding books together, you add the books. If you're adding dollars together, you add the dollars. If you're adding baskets together, like baskets for basketballs together, that would be X and Y. And then the points, 2 point and 3 point, would be your other equation. So just really kind of think about all the variables that you're using, especially if you need two equations. Put your like things together. Hopefully this helps. This will help you do your task cards, and this will also help you do your Google assignment that is due on Friday. So check Google Classroom for your Google assignment. This was really good practice.